It's another edition of Time About the Movies. It's another episode where we're wrapping up another month. This is April 26, 1991, and we've got 7 movies to look at today. And we're going to start off with the biggest of the newest releases. It did not do well as a financial success or a critical success back in 1991. And sadly, I think a lot of people really jumped the gun on this one, because this movie is not only... Well, I'll go ahead and show you it first. This is Sylvester Stallone and John Landis' Oscar.
The year is 1931, and gangster Snaps Provolone is in control. The police are powerless. His rivals are helpless. No one in the entire city dares to defy him, except his daughter.
I'm a modern 30s woman. Look!
Put that away! Of your father! She'll do anything, anywhere, with anybody.
Your daughter and I are lovers.
What?
Did he tell you I was pregnant?
What? Touchstone Pictures presents Sylvester Stallone in the story of a father.
What we need is a husband.
Trying to find someone
Don't look at us.
who will marry his daughter.
I've decided to go away to a convent.
Well, you're a little late.
Maybe it'll be Anthony,
But I love Thornton!
or Thornton,
I want Oscar!
or Oscar.
Who's Oscar?
You've got pimple!
A couple of dates with you and that'll clear up.
But whoever she decides to spend her life with,
You mean she's having the chauffeur's baby?
it's sure to ruin his life.
I just came from Lisa's bedroom.
You and everybody else.
Sylvester Stallone, Oscar.
Unfortunately, this movie, like I said, didn't do so well at the box office, and critically it didn't do so well either. It didn't even make back its $35 million budget, and most people that saw the movie back then, they only cared about Stallone taking his clothes off and killing people, apparently. That was the only reason that people wanted to see Sylvester Stallone in movies at that point. But, yeah, like I said before, I think a lot of people really did miss the boat on this one, because not only is this movie funny, this is probably one of the best underrated comedies of all time. I mean, this is a great movie. It's a great, great movie. Now, granted, it starts off slow. It doesn't really get going until we get about 30 minutes in. But after that, when the story kicks in, and the basic premise of what they're going for starts to come into play, the movie gets really funny. Like, you could tell that the people who made this movie had this love of screwball comedies and wanted to make a modernized old-style screwball comedy, just like the old comedies of yesteryear. And it really works here. Like I said, I talked before about how people tried to copy the success of The Naked Gun and Hot Shots and trying to be like the screwball comedy type of movies that worked, but most of the time they really didn't work. This is one of those times when it really does work. You could tell that John Landis knew exactly what he wanted to do, and you could see that Sylvester Stallone really fit this role very well, and he was very funny. There are a lot of great funny moments with him involved in it, and he's got a great cast to work around with, specifically Tim Curry, such as in this great scene, which really is one of the funniest scenes in the entire movie.
Round the rough and rascal the ragged. Oh, look, Doc, I just can't do it, huh? Never learn to speak good.
Do not despair, Mr. Provolone. Let's try a new line of attack, shall we? After me. Rocky the Rum Runner rubbed out Rico the Rat with his Roscoe for robbing his rum-running receipts. Can you say that?
Rocco the rum runner rubbed out Rico the rat with his Roscoe for robbing his rum-running receipts.
You did it!
Sure, you'll finally come up with something that makes sense.
See, there is that great charm about Stallone's performance in this movie. It feels very genuine. It feels like he really is trying to get some good laughs. And when Stallone does comedies, sadly, he doesn't have that same spark that Arnold Schwarzenegger does when he works with Ivan Reitman. At least during this time period. Later on down the road, he certainly has gotten more. There are much better movies with Stallone in a comedic role that have actually worked better for him later on down the road. But back then, when he tried to do comedies, it didn't really work out so well. Stuff like Rhinestone was a big failure. And then the next year after this, we'd have Stop or My Mom Will Shoot, which was really a bad movie just on so many levels. Even with Ivan Reitman producing it, that movie still didn't work. But this movie does. Stallone is great in this movie, but on top of that, you have a great cast overall. Marissa Tomei in one of her first big leading roles. As I mentioned, Tim Curry's in this. Chaz Palminteri's in this. Peter Riegert, Don Amici. Who else is in here? Eddie Bracken, Kurtwood Smith, Yvonne DiCarlo, Harry Shearer, Arlene Sorkin, Kirk Douglas. Just a phenomenal cast in this movie, and it's very funny. It's a very funny movie once you get past the first 30 minutes. And the first 30 minutes are not terrible, but they certainly lack what makes the rest of the movie so special and so worth running out to go check out. I highly recommend a lot of people go and check this movie out, because this movie is so hilarious. It's so funny. If you love the screwball comedies of the 30s and 40s, you're really going to love this movie. It's a really great modern screwball comedy that not a lot of people really talk about, but it definitely deserves a lot of recognition. Oscar with Sylvester Stallone. Definitely check that movie out. It's definitely going to be worth your time. So that's Oscar. Let's move ahead and move to the next movie, and that is Matt Dillon and Sean Young in A Kiss Before Dying.
Ellen Carlson finally met the perfect man.
Marry me.
Are you serious?
Church, bridesmaids, the works.
He's everything a father could hope for.
I wouldn't want you to think I intend on spending the rest of my life doing what I'm doing now. Ultimately, my ambition lies elsewhere.
Everything she'd ever dreamed of.
We're young, we're rich, we love each other.
There's only one thing wrong.
Who is it?
Bellman.
Jay is different from anyone I've known. He's got this strength.
Hey, come on. You need some help there? What you got in there, dead body?
I'm investigating the disappearance of Patricia Farron. Your wife's name was in a diary.
What are you doing?
Watching you. You look so peaceful, I don't want to take advantage of you.
Come on. Take advantage of me.
You're such a kind and loving and gentle boy.
I'm ambitious. I'm determined. And I'm not afraid of hard work.
Matt Dillon. Sean Young.
God, you scared me.
A kiss before dying.
Based off of a 1956 movie, based off a book as well by Ira Levin, A Kiss Before Dying. You have Matt Dillon and Sean Young, and this is actually directed by the writer of Fatal Attraction, James Dearden. I mean, to the movie's credit, Matt Dillon's probably the best thing about this movie, and really, there is stuff in here that maybe could work, maybe could actually be good, but you really have to sit through a terrible Sean Young performance. I mean, my God. Sean Young is unbearable in this movie. I mean, she's not only a badly written character, but she plays this character like a cartoon character. Like, you never take this character seriously whatsoever. She's just there to be a stock character. She's there to be the victim. Like, she's there to be the murder victim, and it's just like, you gotta have something better than that. And Sean Young can be a good actress, but this is just a movie where it's just like, you could tell that she just took the money and ran away with it. This is a waste of a good cast, too. You got Max von Sydow in here. You also have Diane Ladd. Just a wasted cast overall here. The only one who really gives a lot of the greatness of this movie is Matt Dillon, but even that is just like, it's not really enough to see this movie. This feels like a movie that would have worked as an NBC movie of the week, or like a Lifetime original movie, and it's just like, other than that, though, it's just a waste of time and effort. I mean, yeah, Matt Dillon's the best thing about this movie, but the rest of the movie is just not that good. The script is very bad. Sean Young's performance is just the worst in this. It's not a good movie. It's not a good movie whatsoever, and it's a shame. So let's go ahead and move on to the next movie, and that is Toy Soldiers.
The Regis School for Boys, where the country's best families
Hey, bring that back here.
send the world's worst students.
If you're gonna kick me out, kick me out.
I'd make 4 prep schools in 4 years. You're trying for the Guinness Book of Records?
But these boys are are in for a real shock.
Fuego! If you do not produce my father unharmed, I will begin executing the hostages. I'm sure by now you have discovered who their parents are.
Chairman of the Armed Services Committee, Vice Chairman of the Republican Party. What does your father do, William?
Contractor.
According to this, he owns the third largest construction company in the world.
Yeah, he's a contractor.
My boys, many of them, they have a real problem with authority.
Are you with me or not?
Of course we're with you.
But if you get a shot, we're gonna be PO'd.
I have the assault force in a staging area 5 minutes away.
You have seen these orange wires. These are wired to explosives.
The kid can get the other students out of the line of fire.
If any one of these wires is cut, they will explode!
This kid has been kicked out of 2 schools. Well, 3 schools.
Yeah. No. That's a detonator.
He's got guts. He's a leader. Billy says he can do it. I gotta believe he can.
It's the signal. All right. We're really gonna do this? You bet.
Toy soldiers.
Here's another movie where a really good cast can't save the really bad material given to them. You have like I said, you have a really good cast involved here. Sean Astin, Will Wheaton, Denholm Elliott, Louis Gossett Jr., Keith Coogan. Just a great cast overall, but and a good premise, really. But the movie just falters from just being so predictable. I mean, it's basically Die Hard in a boarding school. That's pretty much all this is, and it's not even a good Die Hard knockoff, honestly, because nothing really exciting happens here. There's no real tension. You know how how it's all going to play out. We've seen this over and over again. It just doesn't work as a movie, and it's a shame because there could be a really good premise here. There are really good ideas here, and the young cast in this is doing their best to make this work, but they just can't do it. It's just not a very good film whatsoever. It's a shame, too, because of everything that it had going for it, but just that script, man. That script is just a predictable, cliched-riddled Die Hard ripoff, pretty much. Like I said, it's Die Hard in a boarding school, and that's just not a very good movie whatsoever, so that's all you really need to say about Toy Soldiers. Now, let's go ahead and move on to a re-release that came out this weekend. It is Stanley Kubrick's classic film, Spartacus.
Spartacus, we rigged the chariot of the Centurion.
And let's rock and roll!
Nobody gets away from Centurion Buford C. Augustus.
I love you, Spartacus.
Okay, that really wasn't the trailer for Spartacus. That was actually the parody Smokey and the Spartacus from the very underrated series The Critic. And I put that there because I couldn't really find a re-release trailer for the 91 re-release of this movie. And so yeah, that's why I did that. But of course, this is Spartacus. Stanley Kubrick directed this movie, written by Dalton Trumbo, featuring an exceptional cast: Kirk Douglas, Laurence Olivier, Gene Simmons, Charles Laughton, Peter Ustinov, Tony Curtis. And they re-released this movie with a restoration backed by Steven Spielberg. They got Stanley Kubrick involved in this, even though Kubrick himself disowned the film at the time. They actually restored a lot of scenes that were lost, and they found it from different people. And they actually put them back into the movie because when they did it the first time, their preview audiences who saw the original film didn't really like it. So they restored those scenes. They put them back in there. They also put in a lot of deleted footage in there. They actually had Anthony Hopkins, who had just come off of playing Hannibal Lecter in The Silence of the Lambs, do an impersonation of Laurence Olivier's voice because Laurence Olivier had passed away in '89, so they couldn't really re-record the dialogue there. But Tony Curtis, who was in the original movie, was able to come back and re-record his part for this scene that they added back into the movie. And really, there's not much more I can say about Spartacus that hasn't already been said. It's a true epic movie. It's a well-made epic film. It features some classic moments, some great visuals for the time period that still hold up to this very day. Has a lot of quotable lines to it, and it is just an incredible movie overall. It's just a fantastic film that just still holds the test of time. Just an amazing movie. I really don't need to say any more about this movie that hasn't been said already. Spartacus is just a great film. I can't recommend it enough. If you haven't already seen it already, you should probably go out and see it. And, yeah, Spartacus. So, let's go ahead and move on to the next movie, Talent of the Game.
A baseball scout, the last of his kind, has made the discovery of his career.
How good is my son?
It's the best I've ever seen. You're one hell of a pitcher.
Starring Stand and Delivers Edward James Olmos. Talent for the Game.
Okay, I should say talent for the game. I said talent of the game. But, you probably never even knew this movie even existed before I even brought it up. But, you can tell it has Edward James Olmos in it. It also has Lorraine Bracco. Directed by Robert Young. That's really all I have for this movie. I've never even seen it, but, I mean, judging by what I see here, it looks like it's trying to be Paramount's answer to Field of Dreams. It obviously didn't work because it didn't do very well, and I barely hear people ever talk about it, so they must have not done something right here. That's really all I can say about it. I haven't seen the movie, so I can't really comment on it, but I acknowledge that it came out this weekend, but that's really all I've got. That's talent for the game. I mean, I've got nothing for you. So let's go ahead and move on to the next movie. And the next movie is 1,000 Pieces of Gold.
Home Video presents the 1991 nationwide theatrical release that Jeff Lyons of Sneak Previews calls one of the best films of the year.
For the first $200, she is now prepared to show you the pleasures of the East.
The movie that inspired Michael Wilmington of the Los Angeles Times to write, along with Dances with Wolves and Young Guns 2, it is the pick of the decade.
You have to learn to act like a demon here if you want to go home rich. Don't let anyone push you around.
Rosalind Chow of White Ghost stars with Dennis Dunn of The Last Emperor in 1,000 Pieces of Gold.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever heard of a review that puts Dances with Wolves and Young Guns 2 in the same category as great movies. Well, I mean, Dances with Wolves, you could say that, but Young Guns 2? Not so much. And with this movie, 1,000 Pieces of Gold, again, it's another one I haven't seen before, but judging by it, it doesn't look too bad. I mean, it doesn't really look that visually impressive for the most part, which is surprising, because a movie like this definitely looks like it has a visual edge to it. But I mean, the premise doesn't sound too bad. You basically have I lost my train of thought there for a second. But basically, you have a plot where this girl is sold into marriage by her father. She decides not to become a bride and ends up going on into a gold mining town where she forges her own path for her own freedom and eventually finds true love. And really, it's not a bad premise. It's not a bad premise. It's one that could actually work depending on the actors involved here. And it definitely doesn't look that bad. But like I said, I can't really comment on it. I haven't seen the movie, but I haven't heard anything too bad about it. So, yeah, again, this one of them I'm just acknowledging that it came out this weekend, but definitely has more promise to it than Talent for the Game does. So, yeah, that's my quick thoughts on 1,000 Pieces of Gold. Let's go ahead and move on to the last movie, and that is the previous year's former foreign language film Oscar winner, and that is Journey of Hope.
1990 Academy Award winner for Best Foreign Film. A film about a family on a dangerous journey. A journey of dreams. A journey to a paradise that lies behind the mountains. A journey of hope.
So Journey of Hope is a co-production between companies in Switzerland, Turkey, and the United Kingdom. It follows a Turkish family trying to make it to Switzerland illegally, and they only know of this country because they've seen it on a postcard. So it is a story where it feels very much like a story that we've seen done over and over again. But for the most part, it doesn't look too bad of a movie. This is one I haven't seen before, so I can't really comment on it. But judging from the stuff I've seen, from the trailers and from the clips that I've seen online, it looks like it could be a very interesting movie. It has a good heart to it, I guess. It has an interesting idea to it, so maybe it has a chance to be something pretty good. So, yeah, might be one I'll definitely check out one day. Journey of Hope. So with that said, we wrap up another edition of Time About the Movies. Next time around, we jump into a brand new month, May 1991, with 5 new movies, including Michael Keaton and Rene Russo in One Good Cop. We also have Robin Givens and Forrest Whitaker in A Rage in Harlem. We also have Rich Girl, we also have Truly Madly Deeply, and The Battle of the Sad Cafe. So on that note, thank you for watching. If you want to see more videos like this, check out the playlist on the next page, check out the previous episode as well. And I'll see you guys tomorrow for the next new episode. So thank you for watching, I'll see you guys tomorrow, and until then, as always, take care.